Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
I've seen you talk on social media that your consciousness can be controlled through music and sound.
100%. If you have a negative vibration going into you all the time, that's going to affect you. I believe that people on top pump out that music on purpose. Listen to all the music women listen to, like Destiny's Child. It's all about getting rid of your man. This dude cheating on me. Go, girl, you can do better than him. And they pump that stuff in at a certain frequency. So women actually start believing that stuff and they're out. And by that way, they destroy families and society. These people want to destroy the family unit.
Most people's heartbeat hits 72 beats per minute. What they want to do is they want to match music that matches the heartbeat. And when they do that, they know they can subconsciously control people's minds.
So I left this in here specifically because it reminds me of a video that we watched the other day. So I'm going to take this a step further. Past the language that's being used in these songs, if you've watched a few videos back, we had a clip where they were speaking words to water molecule or to water drops and then freezing them. They were getting different results based off whether it was a positive word or a negative word. So I showed that clip to my 14-year-old son. He had an idea that I thought was very fascinating. If we are mostly made of water and speaking words of positivity or negativity affects the way that water looks when viewed underneath a microscope frozen, what kind of effect do our positive or negative words have on our body? Just an interesting thought. Makes you wonder about the music that you're listening to a little bit deeper. What true effect is it really having on you?
I want you to watch this video with me and let me know what you think.
You know why people don't think it's easy to make $1 million? Because they go to school. And school is the worst thing you can send your children to. I said that. The whole school is cool, keep kids in school, that is propaganda, and here's why. Do you know who founded and funded the General Board of Education? The Rockefellers. John D. Rockefeller. Do you know what he said? He wants everybody to be employees. Yep. He said, I am not in the business of making a nation of thinkers. I'm in the business of making a nation of workers. Everything you learn in school, every single solitary thing about how to think, you learn because school has taught you to think that way. They taught you to think like an employee. They taught you to think like a poor person, because if everyone was rich, the economy would fall apart. Therefore, we can't have too many rich people. So what do? We put kids into indoctrination camps to show them how to be an employee. And then they go out in the world and they think like an employee, so they stay an employee. They don't become entrepreneurs. They don't become rich. Why do you think they ask you, raise your hand to go to the bathroom? What kind of sick shit is that? I gotta piss. I gotta raise my fucking hand to go to the bathroom.
The indoctrination of the public school system is absolutely 100% true. It's all propaganda and bullcrap. I wish that I could get my kids out of public schools. I had fortunately had the opportunity a few years ago to pull my oldest daughter, who's now 16, out of the public school system because her grades were so poor and she was constantly getting in trouble. And I thought, I can do a better job than they're doing. So I pulled her out of school for 1 year, taught her how to study. She went from making all failing grades to making A B honor roll in 1 year. Now, she went back to public school because she wanted to have a sense of community with people her own age, and I get that. Now, unfortunately, it's hard to find that. Whenever you've got 4 kids, it's hard to find 4 different age groups, activities that you could get them all involved in so that they feel like they do have a community if they're outside of school.
Animal protein is actually secondary plant protein. Carnivores get their proteins and nutrients from other animals, but herbivores get their proteins and nutrients from plants. And to blow your mind even more, plants get their proteins and nutrients from the sun. So the true primary source of energy is light, also frequency. Protein is proton, and nutrient is neutron. All you need is the biophotons directly from natural sunlight. Everything else is secondary or trinary versions of light. Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed or transferred. There is no such thing as particles. The 12 cell salts that we're actually made up of are actually frequencies. They are hardened versions of the 12 zodiacal constellations. Light is low frequency matter and matter is high frequency light. You Einsteins have no clue what you're even talking about when it comes to energy and how it actually works. 369 is the key to the universe. Energy, frequency, and vibration. The strongest, biggest, longest living animals on earth are vegan. Bulls, elephants, giraffes, gorillas, rhinos, and horses. They're completely plant-based. And by far the most powerful creatures on earth. You're only in your mother's womb for 9 months out of the 12 months of the year. And those 3 months that you're not in your mother's womb are the minerals that you lack. And that's what you need to focus on. The only way you're gonna get these minerals is by consuming plants. And this is for the main reason that acidic foods pull minerals out of you, making you mineral deficient. It creates acidosis in the body. It don't matter if you eat. Cows are a GMO product made by man. They share 80% of human DNA. Pigs didn't exist either. They're genetically modified hogs to remove their tusks and their hair for obvious reasons. The average age of a chicken is supposed to be between like 7 to 9 years, but the chickens you see on the shelf literally are fully grown by day 40, and then they're chopped up by day 50 so they can be shipped and sold in stores. These animals don't do any good for you whatsoever. When your body's alkaline, you produce enzymes that break down bacteria. Your body will thrive. When you eat things that are acidic and cause acidosis, such as any meat that you eat, literally shuts down these enzymes, and then bacteria builds up in the lymphatic system. You get sick. You will never be sick on an alkaline diet. You'll never get a disease, and you will live so much longer than you would if you were eating a carnivore way of living. I'm not here trying to, if you want to eat meat, you do it. But I'm telling you right now, there's a reason why there's an agenda for you to eat meat. On the television, have some more steak, have some more eggs, have some more cheese. Next commercial, are you not feeling well? Take this one pill to be the best version of yourself. Side effects might be internal bleeding, nausea, diarrhea, all that, yada yada, and so on and so forth. The only thing you need is minerals. Minerals, everybody is mineral deficient. That's why when you go to the store, everything is itemized, but it's synthetic. And the synthetic stuff doesn't know how to exit your body, so it binds to oxygen and light minerals and strips you of them, making you deficient. They're catching you left and right.
I'm sorry, but if you're trying to tell me that I can't have meat anymore and that it's making me unhealthy, I'm just going to be unhealthy. I'm not switching over to veganism. Hey, if you're enjoying this video, I make a new one just like it every single day. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me.
In the book of Enoch, a very mysterious story of 200 angels or watchers descended upon the top of Mount Hermon, which ended in humanity worshiping the false gods of the ancient world. Well, a British man by the name Sir Charles Warren was the chief of police for London and went to Mount Hermon while mapping out the Israel and Palestine area and described what he found. He saw a giant ancient temple in a spiral formation, and in the center appeared to be an altar for sacrifices. Along with this, he discovered a giant stone tablet with carvings and writings on it, which they brought back to England. The British Museum put it in the archives where no one was allowed to conduct any further research on it. Strange, right? Well, it gets even weirder. If we look at Mount Hermon today, at its peak, there is a UN lookout post that only high-ranking soldiers and officials are allowed to enter. They have banned any archaeological digging in or around that area. What could they be hiding there and why? And could this be even more evidence that the book of Enoch was removed from the Bible, as it holds powerful and truthful knowledge that they don't want us to know?
So I'm going to keep bringing this one up till we figure out what's going on the top of Mount Hermon, because I found that to be one of the most suspicious places they could possibly put some sort of a military installment of all places where the angels supposedly were landed when they were fallen from heaven, and where we've got documentation of there being a temple, possible biblical scripture left behind of some type, and it's all being hidden, and they've got some big military base. It's just too suspicious. It just makes you think, even if you don't believe in the stories of the Bible, there's something to them. There is some truth to them. There is something about that location that makes them want to keep everybody away.
Neil deGrasse Tyson's of the world. He is a very public figure. He is considered mainstream scientific community. A lot of people respect and listen to what he says.
I don't think he should be respected because I don't think he's acting in the best interest of science. I think he's broken his oath of science, and that, frankly, if there were a tribunal of could you take away somebody's PhD, Neil deGrasse Tyson's PhD should be removed. When's the last time he's been invited to give a science talk? When's the last experiment he's published? Never. He hasn't. Why is anybody listening to him? Don't ask me. He bloviates. Sorry, Neil. He should be stripped of his PhD.
I just put that in there because I hate Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Most of the people that still think we live on a globe have no idea how satanic the globe actually is. If you research the speed of the Earth, it's 66,600 miles per hour, 666. The equation for the curvature of the Earth is 0.66 feet per mile squared. The Arctic Circle latitude, 66.6 degrees north. The Antarctic Circle latitude, 66.6 degrees south. The tilt of the Earth's axis is 66.6 degrees. Here is wisdom, let him hath understanding count the number of the beast, right, or the number of the devil, Satan. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 666, or 666. Right, and they have to put this stuff right in your face when they put these lies out. Because God told us in the book of Luke 12 verses 3, whatever is spoken in darkness, they must proclaim it upon the housetops, right? So they have many ways of putting this stuff right in your face and letting you know that it's a satanic deception. Right? The deception is to take you away from God's true creation. They don't want you to know God sits above the firmament enthroned. They want you to think you're just some small speck flying through this vast galaxy, which is not true. Right? The Bible says, don't be ignorant of Satan's devices, right? Or else what? Or else he gets an advantage over us. Right, we can prove this to be wrong in about 3 seconds when we understand that God told us the world is stable and that it cannot be moved. He says it many times, the Lord reigneth, he is clothed with majesty, the Lord is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself, the world also established that it cannot be moved. So look at that, the majesty and the strength of God is literally associated with the earth being immovable. Here it is again, Psalm 104, God's marvelous creation, who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. So, all this hidden information, we've gone ahead and compiled it into the True Earth book. Highly recommend you guys go download that. Check the profile. When you download the book, you get access to the private Discord community. And there's a lot of big things coming to that community, so highly recommend. God bless you guys. Don't forget to like and follow, and I'll see you in the next one.
I am very intrigued by this one, with all the numbers matching up to be the mark of the beast for our Earth's rotation speed and our tilt and the Arctic and Antarctic poles. It's just too suspicious. Too many coincidences to be taken lightly or with a grain of salt. Ever since I saw that video a few weeks back, that made it dawn on me that no matter what side of the sun we're on, so let's call this microphone the sun, no matter what side of the sun the earth is on, we always see the same night sky. The stars never change. We can always see the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper and the North Star. They're always there, no matter what direction you're facing in space. Somewhere, something doesn't make any sense.
So Thoth, he's, according to himself, he calls himself an Atlantean king. Now, the priests that were left behind after he left, they call him an Atlantean priest king. The ancient Egyptians, called him a king or a god. He ruled over them for 16,000 years. We're talking about a very, very long time ago. We're talking about 54,000 BC. This is ancient, pre-dynastic era, obviously. This gentleman claims to have built the Great Pyramid. But what's interesting is his Emerald Tablets, which are a text that he authored himself. He didn't have a scribe that authored these texts. He wrote these tablets himself and left them behind for this generation that we are in right now to understand, break down, analyze, and actually learn from. What was interesting in these tablets is he talks about this flood in the opening verses, this great flood that has swept across the land. Again, more evidence of a great flood. He talks about the fact that the temples were coming up out of the mud, and that his mission now was to go and raise mankind back up to a high level of civilization. In other words, we had already been in a high level prior to this flood, potentially some type of a golden age, high level, high-tech civilization existed before this flood destroyed the planet. And now him and his crew, he took a crew with him, he got into the great ship of the master, according to his writings. And this wasn't a ship that sailed out on the ocean, because he said, upward we rose into the sky, to the sun, until beneath us, the planet, it basically disappeared, the earth disappeared. But we're talking about a ship that flies up and out, not that sails across water. Until the time appointed, he said, he looks down beneath the ship, lay the land of the children of Chem, and he sees an ancient temple coming up out of the mud, and then they descend down to the ground. And then the people by this time had become barbarians. And so they had lost their technology, had lost, a lot of their language and everything else because of this global disaster that happened. Probably a couple generations have gone by or whatever, I'm assuming. But they come to attack him when he opens the door to his ship and come out, him and his crew. And he raises his staff and he sends out a ray of vibration, which stops them still as fragments of stone of a mountain. So he has a stun gun that can freeze you in place. Just like we have the active denial system in the military that sends a beam at a crowd of rioters and can freeze them in their tracks, make them feel like they're vomiting, make them feel like they're on fire, put words in their head, put them in pain, make them run away. Same technology he has. And then he releases them and he begins to talk about peace with them. And he says, I'm a son of Atlantis and I'm here to raise you back up to a high level of civilization. So this guy's interesting because after he created this new civilization here in the land of Kemet before it was known as Egypt, he then told his crew to go around the planet and duplicate what they had done there. So he's the master architect. His crew went around the world and re-kickstarted civilization in different regions of this planet, most likely along that 33rd degree parallel. It's just, to me, evidence that after a flood, we had some assistance in getting back on our feet.
I definitely feel like we had some assistance getting back on our feet after the Younger Dryas incident. It definitely seems like somebody, whether it be aliens or leftover surviving advanced part of civilization, wandered the earth spreading information so that we could rise back up again as a humanity. The interesting part to me is it seems like Thoth or Toth or however you say it, like his main goal is to aid in the assistance of the rise of humanity technologically. And so it makes me think that we probably won't know for a fact that this person or entity even exists until after World War III happens and we annihilate everything with nuclear weapons. And then this guy will show back up trying to help everybody pick up the pieces and start over again. That's one possibility.
Imagine a bloodline so unique it defies the common narrative of human evolution. Today, we uncover the conspiracy surrounding the Rh negative bloodline, a mystery entwined with the origins of humanity itself. Rh negative blood lacks the rhesus factor present in most humans. Its rarity, found in a mere 15% of the global population, sparks questions that lead us down the rabbit hole of our ancient past. Conspiracy theorists argue that Rh negative blood is not of this world. They suggest it's evidence of alien intervention, a genetic hallmark left by extraterrestrial ancestors seeking to mold humanity's destiny. Historical records and myths often portray leaders, prophets, and visionaries as possessing this rare blood type, suggesting it confers unique qualities or abilities. Is it possible that those with Rh negative blood are descendants of an ancient lineage chosen to lead and protect humanity through the ages?
I think it's interesting how they say prophets and visionaries have this blood type. My wife is Rh negative, and she's not a prophet, but I would say that she is a visionary to me. She is one of the most intelligent people that I've ever met, and the way that her mind works baffles me. The drive that she has and things like that is just out of this world, and I wonder if it has something to do with that blood type. Maybe she's literally built different. You hear that all the time. Oh, I'm a hustler. I'm built different. Maybe Rh negative people are literally built different.
I think where the mistake's made is in the term remote viewing. That implies seeing it. You kind of aren't seeing it, but you are. What it is, it's a compilation of all of your senses. Most people go into remote viewing thinking, I'm going to see something, and so they're totally and completely dependent on their eyes. It's not just your vision. Where they make a mistake is they make a mistake in naming things or having the need to say what it is. Nobody wants to know what it is. They want descriptors of it. How did the spy from South Africa encrypt his messages? And they put it in a double-wrapped opaque envelope, and they put A on it. And I go in a room and they throw the envelope with A on it on a table, and they say, tell us about A. Something else gets you to the target, what we think it is, and I wrote a paper on this 35 years ago. It's intention, attention to detail about the target, and expectation for outcome.
I think the remote viewing thing's fascinating, and I want to start looking into it more often on here. hoping to find some instructive things where we can actually all learn how to do remote viewing together. I think that would be awesome. And then get in the Discord and share what we've discovered. I think that would be so cool.
The CIA released a document that confirms the law of attraction and the law of vibration. It is now confirmed that we are creating our own reality. The document reveals that everything is energy and vibrates all the time. Physical matter does not exist. Quote,
Science now knows that both the electrons which spin in the energy field located around the nucleus itself are made up of nothing more than oscillating energy grids. Solid matter, in the strict construction of the terms, simply does not exist. Rather, atomic structure is composed of oscillating energy grids surrounded by other oscillating energy grids which orbit at extraordinarily high speeds.
The document states that everything about us humans, including our brains and consciousness, is just like the universe around us, made up of complex energy systems. Quote,
The point to be made is that the entire human being, brain, consciousness, and all is, like the universe which surrounds him, nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. The so-called states of matter are actually variances in the state of energy, and human consciousness is a function of the interaction of energy in two opposite states, motion and rest.
The document reveals that our reality is a hologram. Your own mind as well as the universe are holograms. Quote,
The universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. It is, in and of itself, one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. The human mind is also a hologram which attunes itself with the universal hologram by the medium of energy exchange, thereby deducing meaning and achieving the state which we call consciousness.
The law of reversibility. You are experiencing the universe experiencing itself. Part 2 will reveal the key to consciously creating holograms and will go deeper into the law of attraction as well as the law of vibration. Comment Part 2 and leave a like if you want to get more information on this CIA document.
So everything vibrates. Everything has a frequency. Everything can be affected by frequency. I don't think that this is necessarily saying that we are living in a hologram that's been created, but that we are living in a hologram of our own making. So we perceive things to be solid and to be physical and have physical matter or that physical attribute, but they don't really. Everything is just a vibrating frequency of particles, including you. Very cool.
There's something they're not telling us that is so gnarly that they don't think people can handle it.
Say these aliens, wherever they're from, made us, that we're a genetic experiment, that they created our religions, our religious figures, that we are an agricultural product, that somehow they harvest us, that our time is limited, you know, that once the experiment's over, poof, we go away.
But God, there's a giant leap between us and the other primates, a weird one, real weird. We have hyper intelligence in comparison to everything else that's on the planet. We're not like anything else.
I remember when there was a push back to have an intelligent design universe in the schools, and I wrote a column about it, just said, hey, be careful what you wish for, because you might find out that the intelligent designer isn't God that you're thinking of. It might be some alien science project or something like that. But you can imagine a lot of different things that would be really disturbing to people to come out.
Yeah, I could see it would be a little disturbing to a lot of people if they believed in God and believed in intelligent design, and then we were suddenly able to prove that, yes, intelligent design is real, but it's just another race of aliens or some other planet's variation of what a human is that created us. Yeah, I could see that messing up a few worldviews, freaking a few people out.
Will you allow this country to draft you in war?
I have two questions about the potential draft and World War III, and they're serious questions. I'm not joking around. I do not know the answer to this, and I'm hoping that someone out there is educated in these topics and can give an explanation to me, because I can't stop thinking about it. Okay, question number one. historically, when men were drafted for war, a lot of women joined the workforce for the first time in their lives to fill a gap, particularly in things like manufacturing, things that have to carry on in your country while the majority of the young men are at war. The women stepped up and went to work. How would that work now when the majority of women are already in the workforce? Like, how would we fill that gap? Because we no longer have this little population of people who are just around and available to join the workforce. So that's my first question. Question number 2 is about the economy in general and how anyone could afford to be drafted. I understand that there is some money that goes to people who are drafted, maybe during the war being fought, maybe it comes after the war being fought, but you know it's not going to be like the full salary that you are making at your job right now. And how I think this differs from what, like World War II, for example, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because like I said, I'm not the expert in this, but the age range that gets drafted, assuming we would stick to that because it makes the most sense for like your age and your health, that would be mostly millennials and a little bit Gen Z. And we are like the poorest generation existing right now, but also we're kind of the poorest generation to ever have existed in modern history. Meaning a lot of us don't own homes. A lot of us don't have savings. A lot of us don't know how we'll ever retire. And now there's talk of for months, potentially years, you'd have to be away from home fighting for your country, a country you can't afford to live in the first place. But really seriously, someone tell me logistically how that would work. Like, would the government pay off my debt so I don't have to be making debt payments? Would the government cover my rent? Because I don't own this home, I only rent it. So my landlord needs to be collecting that rent or he's going to go bankrupt. Do we all just claim bankruptcy? Like, do the lenders have to forgive all of our debt? Because our generation carries more commercial debt than I think we've ever seen in modern history. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, but all of that debt needs to be making active payments. And if I'm off fighting a war, obviously I can't do that. So like really, truly, logistically speaking, who are the extra people who would go to work to keep the country running, and where would the money come from to support the poorest generation going to fight in this war? Like, has capitalism and this late stage capitalism we're in ruined the opportunity for a draft? And is that a good thing? I'm fascinated by this. If someone knows more about this than me and how this would work financially and logistically, like truly, please let me know.
These are good questions. I think that the key component that's being missed out on here is that they don't want the country to maintain a healthy economy. They don't want the country's population to remain where it is. They don't want things to be going good. They want things to collapse and fall apart, because then they can usher in a one world government. So the questions that you have about how are we going to maintain stuff if we go to war, no one's worried about that, because that's part of the plan, is to make things fall apart.
What if I said that light doesn't actually travel? So I know that's provocative, but what if I said to you it doesn't actually travel? So let me give you an example. So you've been to a stadium at a football game or something where they do the wave, right? So when you do the wave, you stand up and you sit down. Now let's say that you're a photon. You stand up and you sit down. The person next to you stands up and sits down, and then the person next to them, all the way around the stadium. Now what's actually traveling? If you're the photon, did you travel around? You didn't go around the stadium. It was the wave that went around the stadium. And what you have is two positions. You have on excitation and off excitation. This field of electromagnetism has a way to excite, be turned on, and so the light comes on and the light comes off. And then the one next to it comes on and then goes off. And then the one next to it comes on and then goes off. Each one is a cubic aspect of space-time, like a pixel on a computer. So if we're looking at playing Pong on our computer, that 70s game, are the light photons actually traveling, or is each LED just going through its on excitation and off excitation mode? So what that means is that what we perceive as light speed is probably actually the speed of our perception.
Okay, so that goes back into nothing is physical matter. Everything is just particles and made of frequency and vibration. So that makes me wonder, when you shine a flashlight through your hand, and the particles of light, you can see them lighting up the inside of your finger, and everything starts glowing. Like you put it underneath your finger and look through, you can see that light wrapping around the bone and lighting up your finger through the inside. Are those turning on and off photons that are supposed to be skin particles? I don't know. I'm not real science minded whenever it comes to like protons and neutrons and photons and all that stuff. I just have the very basics of understanding of them. But Is that what's happening? Is it changing a molecule that would be part of your finger into a molecule of light momentarily? Interesting to think about.
Biblical scholars theorize that the transfiguration of Jesus also happened at the top of Mount Hermon.
Wow, interesting.
So the theory is, on this mountaintop, God's appearance changed. He was communicating with Moses and Elijah. How cool would that be if in that moment they were outside the realm of time? And so when Moses was on top of Mount Sinai and Elijah was on top of Mount Carmel, God was directly speaking to them in the present. But in Moses' time, it would be that present as well. And in Elijah's time, it would be that present.
So wild.
And that's why they knew and had full confidence of the coming of the Messiah, because they directly spoke with Jesus on this mountaintop.
That's such a wild thought to think about.
Even the disciples that were witnessing this, they saw, like, this is the Son of God. This is God.
Yes.
And he's literally talking to Moses and Elijah right now.
Man, that's a weird thing to think about.
It makes you wonder if there's something up there, because if the Watchers descended upon this place, they obviously came from this realm. Is there like a weird, I would just call it like a portal?
I think that is a very fascinating concept. The idea that that speech was taking place outside of time, and so it was taking place inside of multiple time frames. Very fascinating. No way that we'll ever know unless we storm Mount Hermon and start investigating, but I don't think that would work out too well for anybody. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and call the video there. I hope you enjoyed these clips that we watched together, and I will be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back and join me. Video 100 is coming up. It's going to be a special episode. Not going to leave any details about what it's going to be. You'll have to come back and watch it with me. Check the description box below for the Discord so that you could leave some submissions if you have any like short clips that you want me to react to in the videos. And guys, I'll be back tomorrow with another one. I hope you have a great, safe, fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.